Hi, everybody, and welcome to this masterclass session, part of the Stress and Burnout Summit. So this is one of 4 masterclass sessions I'll be providing during the summit. So today's session is about whole self intelligence for stress resilience and how to master stress through regulation. Today, we're going to explore how to master stress, not by eliminating it, but by mastering our state through self-regulation. So I'm going to take you on a journey into the science and practice of self-regulation, the ability to bring your body and emotions back into balance. You'll discover how learning to regulate your nervous system and emotions can literally rewire your brain for resilience, calm, and joy. The goal of this session is to give you both understanding and experience. We'll explore what's really happening inside your body and mind when you feel stressed, and I'll guide you through 2 powerful practices from my NeuroCalm and TrueCalm self-regulation toolkits that you can start using today so you can experience real calm for yourself. These are the same types of tools we'll be using in our live Calm in Action Midday Reset series during the summit and in our upcoming Stress to Calm challenge that immediately follows the summit. So the Stress to Calm challenge is a 14-day journey where we'll train daily to regulate our nervous system and emotions, wire our stress circuits, and build our resilience and thrive circuits through practical tools so that calm becomes our natural state. So let's get started. So the reality is we all need to accept is that stress isn't going away. Our biology evolved from short-term physical threats, a predator, a moment of danger, but modern life constantly triggers those same ancient stress circuits: emails, deadlines, family conflict, social pressure, self-doubt, financial worry, digital overload, all have the same effect on our nervous system. The problem is that our bodies and minds are wired for survival, not modern complexity. So instead of short bursts of stress caused by a predator or immediate danger, we live in chronic activation, constantly alert, scanning, preparing, reacting. So we're basically staying in survival mode, with our stress response becoming chronic. Most people manage symptoms, they breathe, they cope, they push through, but they never really address the source of their stress. And here's the key. The real issue isn't the external events we're experiencing, but how our body and brain perceives what's happening in the world. So most of us think stress comes from what's happening around us: deadlines, money, workload, relationships, conflict around the world, the economy. But in reality, stress begins inside, in the body, and our brain's perception of threat. We don't experience the world as it is, we experience the world through our state. And that's where whole self intelligence comes in. It's about mastering that state so that no matter what's happening around us, we can stay calm, present, and capable. So when we live on autopilot, what I call default living, we operate from old conditioning, stress patterns, and protective behaviors. We react instead of respond. So we're living from stress circuits that have been activated, often very long ago. So our body is reacting to the past and not to the present. So we feel unsafe even when we are safe. So the default living is reactive, fear-based, habitual, and fragmented. Whole self living is conscious, purpose-based, intentional, mindful, and integrated. So whole self living means body, mind, and emotion are working together in harmony, and you're living true to your authentic self, your values, purpose, your strength, and character. So here's the stress loop we all fall into. If we're dysregulated, our nervous system is in threat mode. We can't live aligned with our authentic self. And when we live out of alignment with our authentic self, so what matters most, our body senses threat, not safety. So that misalignment itself becomes a stressor and creates a stress loop. So when you're regulated, you're able to live authentically and stress reduces naturally. But when we are not living authentically, then basically our body detects stress and then we get back into stress mode. Also, when we're regulated, we can access our higher, wiser parts, the parts of you responsible for perspective, pattern recognition, creativity, and purpose. And that enables us to act with calm, compassion, and innovativeness. When we're dysregulated, those higher functions go offline, and that adds another layer of stress. So you not only feel stress, you lose access to your own potential. So stress mastery begins not with time management or productivity hacks or mindset tricks, but with regulation. So what is whole self-intelligence? It's our ability to respond to life consciously, mindfully, and intentionally instead of reacting automatically. It's about showing up as your whole, authentic self. It's about fully engaging with and navigating the patterns and flows of life. In simple terms, it's the capacity to notice. It's your ability to recognize what's happening inside you. And when you're dysregulated, and to and when you're dysregulated. So it's about allowing you to understand if you're dysregulated. And it's about consciously bringing yourself back to calm and to choosing your response. So as opposed to acting on default, where we're reacting to what we're experiencing, we're able to work from a place of conscious calm and choose how we respond. So it's about consciously guiding your body, mind, and emotions back into alignment. So when you develop whole self-intelligence, stress no longer controls you. You consciously choose your state. You consciously choose your response, and that changes everything. So now I would like to introduce you to your stress circuits and your threat system. So when something happens, a harsh mail, a partner's tone, traffic, criticism, your body instantly scans the environment and says, am I safe or unsafe? If the brain perceives you are unsafe, it flips a switch and you go from parasympathetic rest and regulate mode into sympathetic fight, flight, or freeze mode. Your heart rate rises, cortisol floods your body, muscles tense, attention narrows. This is adaptive when danger is real, such as when we were on the savannah being chased by wild animals, but it's counterproductive and even destructive when it's constant and it's more imagined or perceived danger as opposed to real danger. And here's what most people don't realize. Your stress response is not determined by the actual event we're experiencing. And our stress circuits, the neural pathways that control our stress response or our reactions, aren't just formed by what's happening in the present. They are both determined by the meaning your system gives the event. And so this is often based on old patterns from the past. With your stress circuits often been wired long ago, so by the meanings we gave to experiences in childhood or past traumas. So moments where we felt unsafe, unseen, or not enough, which created emotional imprints that told our nervous system the world isn't safe. Those experiences also created beliefs. I must be perfect to be loved. I'm only safe if I please others. Each belief became a stress circuit, a pattern connecting meaning, emotion, and body response. So now, as adults, when something happens that even is slightly resembles that old pattern, the same stress circuit activates automatically. The body relives the past experience in the present. the same stress patterns, the same beliefs, the same bodily reactions. So that's why you can feel unsafe in a meeting or anxious about an email, even when you logically know you're fine. So we're wired for stress in the past and we keep reactivating it in the present. In addition, many of us have an overly dominant threat system. So emotional focused therapy teaches us that we all have three internal systems. So firstly, the threat system. So this is linked to fear, anxiety, control, and protection. Then we have the drive system, linked to achievement, doing, and striving. And then we have the soothing system, linked to calm, safety, connection, and joy. So most of us, as mentioned, live with an overactive or dominant threat system that is constantly scanning for danger, and an undeveloped or underutilized calm or soothing system, the one that generates safety, joy, and connection. And when we have an undeveloped soothing system, our threat system rules the show. So basically, our soothing system is meant to balance out our threat system. But if we have a dominant threat system, it means we are not actively engaging with our soothing system. The net result is we're wired for stress instead of resilience and joy. So self-regulation is about rebalancing this. It's about quieting the threat system and activating the soothing system, and then helping us to rewire our stress circuits and create resilience and thriving circuits. So when we are dysregulated, the thinking brain, the prefrontal cortex, the front part of our brains, goes offline. That's why when you're angry, anxious, or afraid, you can't think clearly. So every form of self-mastery, emotional, mental, or even spiritual, starts with physiological calm. So you can't access wisdom or purpose from a threatened brain. In whole self-intelligence, we say the path to conscious, intentional, mindful living is calm, and the path to calm is self-regulation. So the regulated self is the foundation of whole self-intelligence. It's the part of you that knows how to bring your body and emotions back into balance, and your threat system also back into balance with regard to soothing system. So when regulated, you feel grounded, clear, and connected. When dysregulated, you're reactive, tense, or shut down. The goal isn't to never feel stress, because that's impossible. The goal is to recover quickly, return to calm, and stay centered when stress arises. If you're constantly on, the body forgets how to relax, and the prefrontal cortex, your logical wise brain, goes offline. So you can't live as your whole self if your nervous system is in survival mode. So the goal is to learn how to regulate, to rewire your stress circuits, and strengthen your calm, resilience, and joy circuits. So there are two main doorways into regulation. Firstly, there's bottom-up regulation. So this is working through the body to calm the brain. Then there is top-down regulation, which is working through awareness and meaning to calm your emotions. So in our whole self-intelligence framework, we train both. So firstly, we have the NeuroCalm toolkit, which is all about nervous system regulation. So this is bottom-up regulation. And then we have the TrueCalm toolkit, which is for emotional regulation, which is top-down regulation. So let's look at a couple of tools. So the first tool I want to share with you is from our NeuroCalm Reset toolkit. So it's designed for nervous system regulation, and it's all about helping the body feel safe again when you're triggered or overwhelmed. So you want to use this practice anytime you notice physical signs of stress, tightness in the chest, shallow breathing, racing thoughts, restlessness, or anxiety. So let's do this together. So this particular practice is called coherent breath reset, the coherent breath reset. So what I want you to do now is sit upright, feet grounded, so feet firmly placed on the floor. Now I want you to bring one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. Then inhale gently through your nose for 5 seconds. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for 5 seconds. And you want to do this for about 5 rounds. So in through the nose for 5 seconds and out through the mouth for 5 seconds. So smooth, even breaths. So keep it going. And then as you breathe, bring to mind something or someone you appreciate. A friend, your child, a pet, a peaceful place, even the warmth of sunlight on your face. So you want to feel gratitude and warmth for this person or this experience. So keep breathing, smooth and steady. So remember, hand on heart and hand on belly. 5 breaths in through the nose and 5 out through the mouth. Thinking about something or someone you appreciate. As you breathe, notice your body settling. So your shoulders should start softening and your heart rhythm should start slowing. So now take one more natural breath and just notice what changed. Your body, you're feeling more relaxed, your shoulders have dropped down, your mind, feeling calmer, less agitated. What about your emotional tone? Now we want to integrate this. So now I want you to place your hand gently on your heart again and silently say to yourself, this matters. So that phrase, this matters, emotionally anchors the experience, helping your brain learn that calm and safety are important. So you want to use this phrase at the end of doing this cycle of 5 breaths and thinking about what you appreciate. And then when you notice a shift, you want to say, this matters, because this anchors the experience. It's called an emotional anchor. So this tells your brain and your nervous system that that being calm and being safe are important, and it tells them that you are now safe and calm. So by pairing calm breath, gratitude, remember appreciation and meaning, you're teaching your brain it's safe to return to calm. And by doing this consistently, so looking for opportunities to do this throughout your day, you're rewiring your stress circuits. So rather than reactively going off on a cycle of where you're getting more and more stress, you're now actually regulating yourself, bringing yourself to calm. You are experiencing gratitude or appreciation, and then you're reminding your nervous system that it's okay to get back to calm and that it's safe and that you're now in this state of calm. So each time you repeat this, you're teaching your body it can come back to safety faster. You're building new resilience and joy circuits. You're not just calming stress, but strengthening calm as your default. So you're moving from default, where you're activating the stress circuits, to where you're actually able to go back to calm easily. So what you're doing here is activating the vagus nerve. So this is this nerve that goes through all of our body, and it's our body's natural brake pedal when it comes to stress and activation. So it takes us from a sympathetic state into a parasympathetic state. So by doing this practice, you literally change your heart rhythm and brain state. So you went from threat to calm in less than 2 minutes. So this practice is both a reset and retraining. So it's a reset in that you activating the vagus nerve to get you in a parasympathetic state. So it's taking you out of the stress response. And then you're also retraining your nervous system to say that you can get back to calm. So now I'm going to teach you, now we're going to do another tool. And this one is part of our TrueCalm regulation toolkit. So this is all about regulating our emotions. So we're going to be combining our body and awareness and then moving to an emotional regulation using something or practice called TrueCalm Pause. So you want to use this when you're emotionally triggered or charged, you're frustrated, sad, anxious, hurt, angry, or overwhelmed. So it helps you respond from awareness instead of reaction. It pauses the spiral to dysregulation and gives you space to choose your response. So there are 5 different steps that you want to follow, plus an integration step at the end. So step 1, you want to notice. So you want to ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Then you want to name the feeling or the emotion you're feeling. So be it irritation, fear, sadness, guilt, disappointment, or anger. By naming an emotion, it reduces activity in the amygdala, the brain's alarm center. So step 2, you want to pause. So you want to take one slow, conscious breath. This pause interrupts automatic reaction. In step 3, you want to allow what it is you're experiencing. So you want to say silently, it's okay that I feel this. So you're not resisting or judging the emotion. You're allowing it or giving it permission to exist. Most stress comes from us looking to resist what we're actually feeling or trying to push down our emotions or feelings. And this leads to stress. So we want to allow it, we want to feel it, acknowledge it, but we don't want to resist it. Step 4 is about reframe. So we're going to ask ourselves, what else could this mean? Or what's another way to see this? Maybe that email wasn't meant as criticism. Maybe that comment wasn't a criticism, but more of a request for clarity. Or maybe this delay is giving me time to rest. So we want to look at other possibilities for whatever it is we're currently experiencing, which generated this emotion. Remember, most of the feelings and emotions we're feeling are based on past experiences and the meaning we gave to them and the beliefs that were created around them. So we want to be really looking at and understanding what is really going on here. And then by reframing, we're able to see other perspectives, and then we're diffusing whatever we initially felt. So by reframing, it lets your nervous system know you're safe and you have options. So step number 5, which is called choose. So here we ask ourselves, what would my wise self do next? So this means aligning your next action with your values, your purpose, the kind of person you wish to become, your wise self, the part of you that acts from integrity, not impulse. So we're basically choosing how we want to respond to whatever we're experiencing, and we're going to do this aligned with our authentic self. So our authentic self is all about our purpose, our values, our character strengths, the kind of person we want to become. And then the final step is an integration step, or we call it an anchor. So this is about reinforcing the shift we feel, because when we go through this process, we create a shift, And then we want to silently say, I can choose calm. That phrase anchors the emotional learning. It teaches the brain that awareness, calm, and alignment are safe and rewarding. So once again, we're rewiring our stress circuits. So now let's do this together. So what I want you to do is think about one small stressor that you've experienced today. Maybe an email, someone's tone, a criticism, a disagreement with your partner, your children, with friends and family. Perhaps you were stressed in traffic. Doesn't matter. Just think about one small stressor you've experienced today. So now I want you to notice, what emotion did this stressor evoke? So name it: irritation, anger, guilt, disappointment, shame, perhaps. Then take a pause and take a slow breath. So breathe in through the nose, perhaps, and then breathe out through the mouth. And then allow. Silently say, it's okay that I feel this. And then reframe. Ask yourself, is there another way to see this? And finally, step 5, choose. Ask yourself, what would my wise self do next? Lastly, we want to integrate what we're feeling. We want to notice the shift we're experiencing, because hopefully now we've down-regulated ourselves, and we want to integrate it. So I want you to bring your hand to your heart, and I want you to silently say to yourself, I can choose calm. So feel the shift for a moment. And that's your body learning a new pattern. You're slowly beginning the path to rewiring your stress response. So this practice activates awareness and compassion instead of reactivity. By naming an emotion, it calms the threat center or the threat system and reduces amygdala activity. It literally quiets the brain's threat center. The pause brings the prefrontal cortex, the decision-making brain, back online so you can respond wisely. So you're not reacting now, you're able to respond. And then every time you do this, you strengthen emotional agility. So this is your capacity to feel without being flooded. So an empowered action is one that moves you forward in alignment with your values and desired income. So it's not from fear or defense. So you're choosing how you want to respond, how you're going to act, what is the empowered action you're going to take. So it's not coming from fear or defense, but it's coming from clarity and calm. So it's not a reaction, it's a response. And when you choose an aligned action, you're strengthening your empowerment circuits, which are the patterns of a response which are chosen consciously with calm, agency, and self-leadership. So now let's look at how we can integrate these two practices together and then the resultant regulation loop. So here's the loop in action. So when you notice stress, you regulate the body using the NeuroCalm practice, in our case, the coherent breathing. You then regulate the emotion and meaning by naming and reframing the emotion, part of our TrueCalm Pause practice. And then you choose an empowered action. Well, this is whole self-intelligence in action. Your body, emotion, and mind are cooperating together and working together instead of competing. So this loop doesn't just stop the stress response, it rewires the circuits that create it. So while simultaneously strengthening your calm, resilience, and joy circuits. So now let's look at some real life examples. So example one, work stress. So imagine you receive a last minute request from your boss and your schedule is completely packed. Your default pattern may be frustration, resentment, self-criticism, and your stress levels skyrocket. Our whole self response would be as follows. So you'd have a NeuroCalm Reset. So you'd use one of our tools from the NeuroCalm Reset, which are all about nervous system regulation. So in our case, from our example, would use 2 coherent breaths. So remember, you breathe in 5 for 5 counts through your nose, then breathe out through your mouth, one hand on your heart, one on your belly, and thinking about something you appreciate or someone you appreciate. So this will get you into a more regulated state. Now you want to use the TrueCalm Pause. So you want to name whatever you're experiencing. For instance, you may say, I'm feeling overwhelmed. Then you want to allow it. You want to silently say, it's okay that I feel this. Then you want to do a reframe. So this is not about me failing, it's about priorities shifting. So you may have had a negative perspective about this, that basically you're going to fail, etc. And you want to shift this to something that could be another more positive type option. And then you want to choose. So what is the empowered action you're going to take? In this case, it could be, I'll calmly ask what's most urgent. Then you want to anchor the shift because now you're feeling calm, and then you want to say to yourself, I can choose calm. So you're reinforcing to your brain and your nervous system that you don't have to default to stress, that you can actually default or choose to be calm. So same situation, different states. So one is going to drain you and possibly lead you to burnout, and the other is going to empower you and get you ready and activated to take action on what you need to do. So let's look at a second example. So a relationship conflict. So you're in a conversation with your partner, and then she or he says something sharp or that feels critical. So your default response may be defensiveness, withdrawal, irritation, wanting to get into an argument, anger, etc. Your whole self response or your whole self-intelligent response would be as follows. You'd notice the emotional surge and your heart rate rising. So you notice that you're being triggered. Then you'd use our NeuroCalm Reset practice and do 1 coherent breath. You'd feel your feet firmly placed on the ground. And then you want to soften your shoulders, begin to relax a little bit. And then using our TrueCalm Pause, you want to name the emotion. I feel hurt, perhaps. Then you want to allow what you're experiencing. So let's say it's okay that I feel this. And then you want to choose how you're going to respond. I'll respond calmly and not reactively. And lastly, we want to integrate this. So hand to heart. You want to say, I can choose calm. So once again, we're anchoring the emotion and then telling our brain, reinforcing to our brain and our nervous system that we can choose calm. We don't need to default to the stress response. So this single shift rewires the whole circuit. So you go from fear, defensiveness, and protection to connection and compassion. So now let's talk about developing resilience, the soothing and joy circuits. So every time you regulate instead of react, you're sending new signals through the nervous system. You're telling your nervous system and brain it's safe to be calm, it's safe to feel, it's safe to choose consciously. You're also weakening the old stress circuit and rewiring them by repeatedly proving to your body that safety is possible. You're teaching the brain also that safety and calm are possible, even in a challenging situation. With repetition, you strengthen your resilient circuits and also rewire your stress circuits to become joy and thrive circuits. So our joy and thrive circuits are pathways for connection, curiosity, and creativity. So now let's talk about a little bit more about our soothing system. So our soothing system can complement everything we're doing here to rewire our stress circuits to become more resilient and joy circuits. So as you remember, the soothing system is our body's capacity for safety and self-compassion. So you can strengthen it through practices like a self-compassion touch, like placing a hand on your heart, gratitude journaling, gentle rhythmic movement or nature walks, slow music or humming, connection and kindness. Each of these signal to your body, I'm safe now. So remember, the whole point of regulation is get us back to a regular, and getting back to a regular state is to let the body know that you are safe and secure in this very moment. And this helps to build your resilient circuits, the foundation of emotional strength. So why does this matter? Well, each time you regulate instead of react, you're rewiring your nervous system. Because remember, in the past, we would have just defaulted, activated stress circuit, and gone down the rabbit hole or wherever it took us. Now we're able to consciously, mindfully, and intentionally determine how we're going to respond. So each time we regulate instead of react, we're teaching our body that it can remain safe while being challenged. Over time, this becomes your new baseline. Calm is your default. Calm becomes your default. And that's true stress resilience. Not escaping pressure, but staying whole under it. So regulation is the gateway to your authentic and wise self. The higher self, the part of ourselves that allows us to act intentionally in alignment with our authentic self, our values and purpose. So when we're calm, we can think clearly. We can fully utilize all our capacities and resources and our conscious self, our higher self, our prefrontal cortex, etc. Without regulation, we're just surviving. And with regulation, we're thriving. And that's the foundation of whole self-intelligence. So stress mastery isn't about removing stress. It's about mastering your state. Whole self-intelligence gives you the tools to do that. If you were to remember just one thing from today, let it be this. When I feel stress, I can pause, breathe, and choose. That simple practice starts to rewire your life from stress to calm, from reactivity to resilience, from survival to thriving. During the summit in our Calm in Action Midday Reset series, so these are live sessions which will run for about 15 to 20 minutes each day of the summit, I'll share more tools to help you regulate and further, so both your nervous system and your emotional system, plus some other tools. I'll also reveal further ones in our upcoming Stress to Calm challenge. So as a reminder, this immediately follows the summit, and it's where I'll guide you through 14 days of practical daily tools to help you rewire your stress, build resilience, and activate your resilience and joy circuits. So together we'll train your body and brain to make calm your natural state, because resilience isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. So thanks, and I'll look out for another session with me in the next couple of days where I'll introduce you to our keystone process, and this will help you to learn how to see the world as it really is and use that reality, this perspective of reality, to truly master stress. So until then, make sure you utilize the 2 tools I've shared today. Work on them throughout the day, because when you're doing this, you'll be rewiring your stress response. You're making your default to respond to life as opposed to react to life. So that's me finishing up there. So I'll leave you with that, and I look forward to your comments and feedback.